Ukrainian FPV strike teams are tearing apart Russian supply routes, turning them into what soldiers now call a corridor of death. Ukraine has deployed some of its most skilled drone units to cripple Russian logistics east of Pokrovsk. As FPV strikes intensify, the Russian advance is entering a new stage of collapse. The Ukrainian operators launched a systematic, wide-scale campaign designed to erase enemy supply lines entirely. One verified video captures a Russian UAZ transport bursting into flames after a Ukrainian FPV drone slipped straight through its open side window. Another clip shows a rare sight on this front, a Russian T-80 tank attempting a covert push along a narrow road to provide covering fire. Despite having extra cage armor and electronic warfare, the tank was still hit with ease. Additional footage reveals the sheer scope of the operation. Ukrainian drones are dismantling everything the Russians send forward: vans, cargo pickups, motorcycles, even isolated couriers trying to carry small amounts of ammunition or rations to frontline troops. Operators hunt down every trace of movement, with videos from both sides confirming the aftermath. Charred vehicles, mangled frames, and impact craters scattered every few meters. Russian soldiers filming their own approach accidentally exposed the true scale of destruction. Dozens of wrecked vehicles stacked at bends in the road, exactly where Ukrainian operators wait for even the slightest reduction in speed before striking with lethal precision. These new roads of death mirror what occurred earlier on the western flank of Pokrovsk, where the entire Russian push broke down under relentless FPV hits that severed their logistics and removed their ability to conduct meaningful offensive action. A newly geolocated video released by Ukrainian forces shows a stretch of road between Novotroitske and Novopustynka covered with 47 destroyed armored vehicles across just over a kilometer. Every single one was stopped before reaching the battlefield, demonstrating how dominant Ukrainian drone control has become. With
of an offensive. A geolocated video recently released by Ukrainian forces shows the aftermath along just one stretch between Novotroitske and Novopustynka, with 47 destroyed armored vehicles scattered across just over a kilometer of road. Each was eliminated before reaching the front, proving how decisive Ukrainian drone fire control has become.
Commander Brovdi, call sign Magyar, overseeing the area, Russian supply routes east of Pokrovsk are now collapsing the same way. His doctrine is straightforward: complete drone supremacy for miles behind the front, where every road is watched, every vehicle marked, and every movement punished without delay. This strategy turned the western sector into a graveyard of Russian armor, and now the exact same pattern is unfolding in the east. This synchronized drone offensive has forced the Russian military to radically rethink its battlefield approach. Continuous aerial surveillance, long-range strikes on convoys, and pinpoint hits on fuel and ammunition trucks have left Russian commanders unable to maintain any large-scale offensive momentum. Even motorcycles, once considered the quickest way to move supplies or evacuate wounded, have proven just as exposed. A captured Russian soldier admitted that small motorcycle teams, even groups of 2 or 3, are immediately hunted down by Ukrainian FPV operators. In response, Russian tactics have collapsed into small unit infiltration. Tiny fire teams of 2 or 3 soldiers crawl through fields at night under thermal cloaks, hoping Ukrainian drones won't pick them up. But Brovdi's units have already adjusted. Ukrainian operators now prioritize infantry over vehicles, tracking individual soldiers to sustain what their commander calls the necessary monthly kill rate, a number that must exceed Russia's ability to mobilize fresh recruits. Desperate for new solutions, Russian officers have turned to deception, sending poorly equipped conscripts forward as bait while better trained troops try to maneuver elsewhere. But Ukraine's reconnaissance network easily exposes these tactics. Even Russian analysts admit that 9 out of 10 infiltration groups never reach their intended targets alive. For over a year after capturing the ruins of Avdiivka in eastern Donetsk, Russia's 600,000-strong occupation force has focused on one objective: Pokrovsk. The city, home to roughly 60,000 people before the war, anchors a chain of strategic towns stretching north toward the Russian border. On Tuesday, a Russian sabotage team managed to cross the no-man's land south of Pokrovsk and hide inside a building on the city's outskirts. Their shelter did not last long. A drone from Ukraine's 155th Mechanized Brigade located the group, and the brigade brought the structure down in a precise strike. Russia paid tens of thousands of casualties and hundreds of destroyed vehicles to advance the nearly 40 kilometers from Avdiivka to Pokrovsk. Yet they pushed forward nonetheless. Drone warfare was instrumental in stopping them. Operating miles beyond enemy lines, Ukrainian drones turned the critical Ocheretine-Pokrovsk roadway into a graveyard of Russian supply trucks and armored transports. Drone raids have severely complicated Russian logistics, noted a pro-Ukrainian conflict intelligence group in a recent report. Today, the 155th Mechanized Brigade is battle-hardened, and the Russian forces south of Pokrovsk are in far worse condition. It's one thing for a small sabotage team to reach the city's edge briefly and be eliminated. It's another for a full-scale Russian assault to seize and hold ground there. Even so, Ukraine expects more attempts. Pokrovsk remains a top-level objective for the Russian military political leadership. What is unfolding east of Pokrovsk mirrors events in the west, a crushed offensive paralyzed under the constant watch of Ukrainian drones. The roads of death keep expanding, each charred wreck marking the further limit of Russian reach. The sky now belongs to Ukraine, and under Brovdi's relentless coordination, new footage of destroyed armor and failed attacks appears daily. Whether Russia will continue throwing forces against this drone barrier or redirect its focus north toward Kostiantynivka or Lyman, or south toward Zaporizhzhia, remains uncertain. But the bloodshed continues.
Overall, the picture that emerges east of Pokrovsk is the same as in the west. A crushed offensive stalled under the unblinking eyes of Ukrainian drones. The roads of death are expanding, their blackened wrecks marking the edge of Russian reach. The sky belongs to Ukraine, and under Brovdi's relentless coordination, every day brings new footage of destroyed armor and failed assaults. Whether the Russians will keep smashing their forces against this drone wall, or shift their attention north to Kostiantynivka or Lyman, or south towards Zaporizhia remains to be seen.